Oh, perfect. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about plagiarism, what it is and how to prevent it. My name is Kayla Van Osten. I'm one of the research and instruction librarians here. I liaison to the social sciences, and I'm also the assistant archivist here. And Teresa, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Teresa Edge. I am the head of user and access services at Wolfgram and liaison to the sciences and to the School of Business. And we're just going to, review again what plagiarism is, what are some consequences, how you can help prevent it, and some tips, on doing so as you move along. Before we jump into the content, we do have several polls that we want to launch throughout the presentation today, and we are going to start with our first one right now. So we would love for you to share with us any ideas or examples of plagiarism in the real world that you may recall.
It can be anything. We're going to share responses, but they will be anonymous. So we'll give it a minute or two.
Hey, we got a few coming in. Okay, looks like it's probably wrapped up. I will end that poll and share results. So let's see. Interesting. Can everybody see can you see the results, Kayla? Or no?
No, because I'm a host.
Okay. Oh, right. This is tricky. Okay. So
I
some
have it up.
examples listed are previously published new articles used, Chat GPT, stealing a proposal idea, commencement
That's a good one.
speeches and scholarship. That is a good one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Using a past assignment from another student as their own. Yes, lots of that. I've heard of actual, like, not recently, but back in the day of like frat houses keeping actual like filing cabinets of previous assignments to
Oh,
share
yeah.
with.
And that's definitely in like TV shows and movies.
Yeah.
You definitely see that.
Submitting an assignment for one class for another class. We will actually be touching on that, talking about that a bit. Dissertations not citing, the Harvard University president issue.
Yeah.
Copying and pasting from websites without citing, I assume. So yeah, excellent.
Perfect.
Excellent.
We're definitely going to be talking about these. So
We are.
awesome.
Okay. So moving into, take it away, Kayla.
Yeah. So speaking of real world examples, so the reason why we have have you think about it, and then we're going to go over these examples is, plagiarism goes beyond, the four walls of our institution. It can follow you into the workplace in other areas of your own life. So it's more than just, not citing properly in the paper. So I've seen some things crop up with social media of content creators asking their followers, or reporting it themselves to like Instagram gods or whoever runs these things, about reported theft of like digital art, or reporting that their artwork was stolen and then used to sell products with their artwork on it without even um, getting permission. And some of these examples I'm going to talk about kind of bleed into copyright and intellectual property. So keep that in mind. It kind of bleeds together a little bit. But on a more positive note, I've also seen creators tagging the original creators in their posts if they're, say, reposting something, or if they're using the words or, you know, voice, audio of anything, you know, they're tagging the original creator, which you could think of as citing, right? They're citing that original person. And then, of course, there's lots and lots of pop culture examples, especially within music. Recently, maybe even 2 years ago, a year ago, Taylor Swift was part of a lawsuit where another artist was claiming that she was using, you know, plagiarizing the lyrics to one of her songs. I've seen this with a bunch of other artists as well. This happens in the book world. Romance novelist Nora Roberts sued another author for plagiarizing her work. And even very recently, the Oscars, I just saw that the film, The Holdovers, the screenwriters were accused of plagiarizing script or portions of the script as well. So yeah, so it can pop up in pop culture. I'm sure you've heard of other examples as well. And in the workplace, a few of you have mentioned the Harvard president. So the former president of Harvard was accused of plagiarizing portions in her dissertation. She was eventually let go or resigned for another issue, but that did come up, and this was reported all over the news outlets, the New York Times, lots of other places as well. An administrator at Columbia University has also been accused of plagiarizing large sections of their dissertation. And again, that was reported in the New York Times as well. And of course, AI, we're seeing lots of things crop up about AI with faked images and videos, lots of, you know, misinformation out there. So this is going to be an ongoing conversation of how AI is related into this discussion of plagiarism. And of course, as things progress going forward, it'll be a big discussion that we have. So these are kind of extreme, very public facing examples here. But really, it's just to demonstrate that this isn't just some, you know, plagiarism isn't just something to consider when you are writing a paper or working on a project. It can bleed into, you know, the workplace and your personal lives as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kayla.
Of course.
So just to take a step back a bit, we want to make sure we're on the same page about what exactly plagiarism is. Sorry about that. So plagiarizing is to steal or pass off your the ideas or work of someone else as your own. And in particular, without crediting the source, right? So you're basically pretending that you did the work or you had the idea, and that is plagiarism. You're taking someone's intellectual property or property that an idea or invention or process that comes from the mind or the intellect. So that's official terminology that we're using of what plagiarism is. And I do want to mention that plagiarism is not only restricted to copyrighted works. So there are things that are not copyrighted. There are things that are out of copyright, like in the public domain. But even if if that is true, if you use them without citing them, it's still plagiarism. You still need to give credit to where ideas come from if they did not originate with yourself.
Oh, Tracy, can you go back one?
Oh,
all right, we're gonna launch another.
That's right. My bad.
No, it's okay. Lots of polls. We don't have that many, so hopefully we don't overwhelm you with them. Okay, so forms of plagiarism. So which scenario below is not a form of plagiarism? And you have some options here. So copying or using your own work for another assignment, purchasing an essay, paraphrasing with a citation, taking a full sentence from a book and not using quotation. So remember, this is not, which scenario is not form of plagiarism? You're not seeing the options
Oh,
for the poll.
I launched it. All right, let me end it and see if I can.
That poll. I got it. It's fine for me.
Okay, thanks.
I
How about
relaunched
now?
it. Let's see if that works for anyone.
Okay, you have it now. What about everyone else? Oh yeah, we're getting more responses.
All right,
Perfect.
that's better.
Not sure what happened.
Ah, that's weird.
Yay, Zoom.
Yeah. Answers still coming in.
All right. I think that's everyone.
All right. Yeah, that looks.
And share results here. Okay, so which scenario below is not a form of plagiarism? It looks like most of you put paraphrasing with the citation, or copying or using your own work from another assignment. So paraphrasing with the citation is not a form of plagiarism. So there's that. Copying or using your own work from another assignment is a form of plagiarism or academic fraud, really. Although there are some caveats with that, but we'll get into it. Awesome. Let me stop sharing. All right.
And then.
Okay, so let's get into those types of plagiarism. We have unintentional, intentional, and then what's sometimes referred to as self-plagiarism. So unintentional plagiarism is, blatantly, you didn't cite correctly. You missed, it could be as simple as missing a comma to something, which some people would consider not citing correctly, or just forgetting to put something in your reference list. If your in-text citations don't match your reference list, that can obviously be unintentional, or not citing use of AI. And AI is so new that sometimes people forget that you still need to cite AI. So that can be unintentional as well. Intentional plagiarism would be like buying a paper, having someone do the work for you, or submitting AI generated work as your own. And then self-plagiarism some people don't like that term. That's why I put it in quotes. But so submitting your work for class A and then taking that and submitting that same work for class B is a form of academic fraud. I mentioned caveats before that, this could be something if you're progressively working on a topic, or this kind of cropped up with our dissertation writing folks, that they're expanding on their topic. They might be using work that they've written before, but you still want to cite that work. And of course, always talk to your professor or someone about it.
So speaking of talking to your professor about things, we wanted to go over Widener's official academic integrity policy. I am not going to read all of this to you, but we did highlight some of the major key points to be aware of. One is the Widener's definition of plagiarism, so submitting the work of others as your own, and noting that it is a form of theft in the academic world, and it's a very serious offense. Any information from other sources needs to cite the source that it came from. Some other mentions of violations for academic integrity include replicating or reusing work created for a previous class, which is what Kayla was just talking about. So that is not permissible unless in certain circumstances you disclose and discuss that idea with your instructor. So if you get approval and permission from your instructor, that's one thing, but that is a conversation that you need to have first. And recently added to the academic integrity policy is that the use of AI generated content is only permissible with the express consent of the instructor. And if you do so, it does require citation. And we'll be talking about sources of help for that as well. So those are the key points of the academic integrity policy according to Widener.
And this is freely. It's available online too, in the catalog, so you can find that. I believe we have the link at the end as well. So
yes.
Okay. University consequences. So this is also taken from the Widener academic regulation. So it's listed in that same section. There are a broad range of consequences that can occur if you are accused of academic fraud, including plagiarism. And that ranges from, a formal warning, reduction in the grade for the assignment, reduction in the grade for the whole course, failing grade for the assignment, failing grade in the course, a failing grade that's designated as XF in the course, and that actually displays on your transcript. Required attendance at an academic integrity workshop or tutorial, and finally expulsion. So there is a range, and this isn't meant to scare anyone of going through this, but just as an example of to inform you. And then in the workplace or outside of Widener, there are other real world consequences. Again, you could get a warning at your job, for example. You could get fired from your job as well. So there could be a broad range. You could maybe even get kicked off of like a social media platform for misuse.
You could get sued if you actually
get sued. That was my final. I was like,
yeah, sorry.
You get sued. I was trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Nope, you're good.
Yeah. So, there again, this isn't just about academia. It can go beyond it as well. And again, not meant to scare you, just to inform.
So before moving on, we have another poll that we would like you guys to complete. Let's see if we can get this one to work. So for which of these following scenarios does not require oh wait, never mind. I did the wrong one. They are out of order. Consequences of plagiarism. That's where we're at.
Yep.
What are the potential consequences of plagiarism at Widener? So if you could pick one of those answers, what that you think is the best fit.
Let me know if you can't see it. Okay, people are responding. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, I'll end the poll, share results. And so, in a way, you are all correct in the sense that all of those things can be a consequence of plagiarism at Widener if it is reported and you are found to have committed academic fraud or plagiarism. Any of these things can happen. You can get a failing grade in the class. You can be expelled. You might have to redo an assignment, and you can be suspended. So just again to keep those possible things in mind.
Yep.
All right. And a reminder that again, it's not just about academic papers that you're might be writing for classes. It's also important to cite your sources when you're doing presentations for classes, when you're creating posters, doing any content on social media, making videos, particularly with music. That's come up quite a bit in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and any other kind of online content like blogs or websites, again, music. So it's not something that you only want to think about when you're writing that research paper, which is when most of us are focused on citing our sources, but it's important in other situations as well.
Yes, I mean, not everyone, or not every within wider, not every class you're going to take is a written paper at the end. It could be a poster, um, or a presentation too. So you need to cite all that information there as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so we went over plagiarism. So how do we avoid plagiarizing? So ask yourself, when you begin to think about it, are the words or ideas that you're using your own? Yes or no? If they are all your own, awesome. You're good to go. You don't need to worry about it. If they aren't, consider, did you use citations and quotes to clearly show what's yours and what's not yours? And if you did, perfect. You cited. You did everything great. If not, then you're gonna have to, go through it and make sure that you're citing properly.
Okay. So some tips to what you can do that can help you avoid plagiarism, especially um, inadvertent plagiarism. One major area is to try to stay organized, especially with your sources. So make sure you're saving your sources as you're doing your research, giving them clear names, in your folder structures and your files so you know where they are and can go back and find them. We do have two tools that the library recommends that can help you with organizing your they are bibliographic managers is what we call them, but it's basically tools that can help you store and create citations from your works. Those are RefWorks, which is a subscription service, but the university does pay for access to RefWorks, and Zotero, which is a free service. But they both can help you keep track of your sources and create formatted references and citations from those sources. It's important as you're taking notes to it's better to take notes from sources and then use your notes so that you're not doing word for word copying pasting. You're highlighting the major concepts in your own words, and then you give the source for where that information is coming from, so that when you go back to do your writing, you're a little bit removed from the wording of that exact source. Don't forget to cite images, charts, graphs, multimedia, any of those things that you use in your work also need to cite their sources. So basically, the idea is if you're not sure whether you should cite or not, you're better off citing.
Yes, I remember when I was in high school, first learning about citing things. My
Yeah,
teacher made us use actual note cards, and we had to write the
absolutely.
citation for each source on it, and then put a summary and anything on those note cards. So you could think about it like that.
Yeah, exactly. But it does, again, it does, I think, help get away from the urge to maybe just copy and paste something there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
for rewording into our own language.
Yeah, yeah. Um, And you'll notice too, like on that side of that chart, we had a little citation on the bottom because that's not yes, I made this to fit in our presentation, but I took the words and the content of it um from another source. So we cited that. So think about that too if you're using charts and graphs
Excellent.
and photos. So why do we cite? And maybe this will help too when you're in the process, because obviously going through your citations, making sure they're accurate, doing the research, it's time consuming, it's tedious. So why do it, right? Um, So at first it demonstrates that you know the material, and it shows that you did the research, which is important for your instructors. Also, you know, for you as well. It can give you some pride with all the hard work that you're doing. And of course, it gives credit to the author or creator of that work. You wouldn't want someone to use your work without stealing it. So, you know, we want to give credit to those people. It also helps readers verify the context of the information. I think of this often when we're, you know, I'm working with students and teaching them ways of to find information. And I know all the librarians do this. We tell them to, you know, look at, if you find an article that you kind of like, look at the references in that article, because there could be some other great resources that that person cited that you could then look up and use. So you could, you know, think about it like that. If I'm reading a paper and I noticed something that you cited that sounds really interesting, I go to the reference list and then I can go look up that article and read it for myself too. So it helps others as well. And you know, it helps, it's related to that, it helps researchers identify others in the field. So most of the time, you know, they're experts in a particular subject. So I can go look up, you know, if Jane Smith wrote this article, what else did they write on that topic? Probably a lot, or, you know, a few other things. So it can help with that as well. All right, we are going to launch our final poll here. Okay, hopefully that worked. So, which scenario does not require a citation? Quoting word for word a section of text from an article, stating that the sun is a star, summarizing an expert's research findings, adding a scientific graph, or all of the above. So which scenario does not require citation?
Okay, I think that's probably everyone that's
Yep.
going to complete it.
All right. Okay. Here are results here. Okay. Many of you put stating that the sun is a star, and then the other summarizing an expert's research findings. So stating the sun is a star, you do not have to cite because that is a known fact. So we don't have to cite those types of things. So the earth is round, you know, things like that. You don't have to cite because they're commonly known. Summarizing an expert's research findings, you do have to cite that. That is like paraphrasing, and you have to, and that's actually where unintentional plagiarism can come in. A lot of times you see it a lot because people are paraphrasing something and they kind of forget the cite or they just miss it. So you do have to cite those.
So speaking of that, we're going to go over different types of citations. And again, as Kayla was saying, that when you paraphrase, you do need to cite, and it is recommended that you paraphrase the most often if you are working with others sources or what others have written. It's better for you to paraphrase what they're saying in your own words, but still cite where you got the information. You want to try to you want to reword the sentences in your own way and not just replace a couple of words with synonyms. That doesn't really count as paraphrasing, but actually reword the content to share in your own words. Direct quotes also require citation. They should be used a bit less often. General guidance is, if you feel it's the absolute best needed wording of a particular statement, then using a direct quote is fine. Do not take it out of context, to make sure you're using it in the appropriate context and incorporate it smoothly into your own text. And as Kayla mentioned from our poll, that common knowledge you do not have to cite. So known facts or information, Tokyo is the capital of Japan, or water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, those kinds of facts you do not have to provide a citation for.
Yeah. And again, this is where that note-taking organization helps.
Absolutely.
There are a bunch of different types of citation styles that you may be familiar with, may not. They depend on the topic or area of study. So APA is used for the social sciences. MLA is for humanities. AMA is medical and health sciences. ASA is sociology. And Chicago is history and publishing and some other areas. We have guides through the library. Our subject guides, if you go on the library's homepage and scroll down, there's a tile for subject guides. And then what's on that page, there's a section for citation styles. So the librarians have created these guides to help you out with citing and things like that. We have them for APA, MLA, AMA, and ASA. We can also help. We don't have a Chicago guide, but we can help you guide you in the right direction. For other resources, I'm sure you've all heard of Purdue OWL. It's an awesome resource too. I know they have stuff on Chicago. You can also look for the blogs, I guess. Like APA has a really good blog that I use often to help students or even myself with citing, especially if it's like something a little funky that it's not the typical thing you're using. So you can always check out those resources. And of course, ask us at the library. We're happy to help guide you in the right direction too. But one thing of note too is that a lot of our databases through the library have like a citation generator within them. Those are never accurate. Ever usually. Absolutely copy and paste from there so you don't have to retype everything, but you're still going to need to use like our guides or other resources to compare them to make sure that they're accurate. A lot of the times it's as simple as like the capitalization is wrong, or it could be missing a link or something, a DOI. That also goes this also happens with Zotero and RefWorks that Teresa mentioned earlier, those management tools.
Or EasyBib, if people have used that, same thing. Yeah.
What's the other one? OneNote?
Son of Sam. There's all kinds of
yeah. They're pulling, some of them might have stuff built in within them, but like Zotero and RefWorks, it's pulling those citations from these databases, which are then, as we just said, can be wrong. So you still have to review them to make sure everything's proper. And of course, said it several times now, we at the library can help if you have questions about it.
Google Scholar also has a citation tool, but
okay.
same thing applies.
Yeah, same thing. There's unfortunately no easy out. Also AI tools as well. If you put in the citations in there, they can be wrong.
But speaking of that, also on our guides, we have added guidance on how to cite AI tools.
Yes.
So if you use an AI tool to generate content and you need to cite it, there are guidelines available to help you do that as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
And those are our references.
That's where you can find the catalog with the academic regulation. So catalog.weiner.edu. You can navigate to that information.
And that's it. If you guys have any questions that we can address, we would love to take the time to do that.
Yes, please.
And you can either text or feel free to unmute and just speak up.
especially if any clarifying questions about the polls that we did or anything. As we
Either-
wait to see, oh,
No, it's either we put everyone to sleep or everything was really, really clear.
use of AI to paraphrase my own words. Ooh.
You are technically, I believe, we're all, it's a new world. We're all learning this together.
Yeah.
Um, but if you use AI to generate wording, you are, I believe, supposed to cite the AI tool and say that it assisted you in your, is that your take, Kayla?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Especially like I would say that kind of falls into like when in doubt site. And definitely I would speak to your instructor too if that's the case.
Okay, so resources for detecting plagiarism. Actually, yeah, I meant to include some. So I'm pretty sure Widener has, or Canvas has
Yeah.
a built-in.
What's that called?
I know, what is that called? Blanking too. Oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking.
Me too.
It does have a built-in plagiarism checker tool for if I think the professor might need to like activate it for certain assignments, and any tool is going to not be 100%, especially since it will highlight things that a student cited. It like if you come if it the score comes up as 67% of copied from other sources, well that might be true, but they also cited all those sources because it was a research paper, so that doesn't necessarily mean that they copied or that they plagiarized. Turn it in. Thank you, Jill.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. um
I think Grammarly has one.
and you can Google stuff. I mean, honestly, as a professor, I have done it. Like if you find wording in something that sounds you suspect maybe from somewhere else, so one of the easiest things to do is to copy and paste it into Google and see if it matches up.
Yeah, obviously
with the
that can be
source
time
there.
consuming, but
It can be time consuming, absolutely.
um
Overall, my summary would be that there are no great plagiarism detector tools.
yeah.
To be perfectly honest,
And
some
then
can help you nudge you in the direction, but
yeah,
nothing is ideal.
and the ones that claim they can detect AI too or not
Oh, they're awful.
are
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah.
But I see the other day, like AI detector said that the book of Genesis was like 87% likely to be created by AI or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, because we're the technology isn't there, and it's pretty tough to keep up with all the changes
Yes,
that are going
absolutely.
on with
We're
AI.
all
So
learning
use
together.
yes, use checkers of those things sparingly and with a lot of what's the word?
Caution.
Yeah, that's a good with caution.
I just know if you have other questions. I did want to mention that we do have an APA workshop coming when is it, Jill? It's in April sometime. April 18th. It's right in front of my face. April 18th at 5 p.m. Over Zoom. Jill will be running an APA citation style workshop. If you use APA or will be using APA and want to learn more.
Awesome. All
Any
right. Well, if no
final
other,
thoughts? Yeah. Well, you know where to find us. We're here in the library. We have our information. And please reach out if you think of anything later on and have questions.
yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank
Have a great weekend.
you.